I left the summer stock to travel in the nightclub circuit with a woman by the name of Georgia Gibbs, who was the beginning of the rock singers. Her name's Miss Georgia Gibbs, and I worked with her for 5 years. I played every nightclub in this country. And during that time, I met Julie Stein and was offered the national company of Funny Girl. There was no contract for that company, so when I got a call from Bob Fosse to meet him about doing the show Sweet Charity, I said that I did not have a contract, I did not have a job, because I didn't have, to me. So I signed to do Sweet Charity, which he wanted me to do. And after I signed, the Musicians Union called and said that if I went with that show, that they would kick me out of the union because I had made a verbal agreement to do Funny Girl. Well, nobody had called me about a contract. There was no money set, no nothing. I just assumed I didn't have it. So Fosse said that he would hold the position of the conductor open for me so that wherever they were when I closed in Funny Girl, I could come into the show. So this was in the fall of 1964. 65. And I went out with Funny Girl, and I was out for a year. I closed in Los Angeles. The show continued on. I closed in Los Angeles, came home, and there was a message from Gwen Burden on my phone that said, the show is waiting for you. We've opened. They opened at the end of January. It was only March, and I could take over. So I came in, and now this would not happen today, but I had a full orchestra rehearsal, and I had a full orchestra rehearsal with all of the principals so that I could do whatever I wanted to make changes in the conductorial and vocal presentation of the show. And they gave me the whole day before my opening night to do this. And there was a little old lady sitting behind me. And after I finished the overture, she tapped me on the shoulder and she said, "Every night is opening night with you, isn't it?" And I said, "Yes, and if it isn't, I better give up the business." Her name was Dorothy Fields, and she wrote the lyrics, Sweet Charity. And we became very good friends after that. I went, Charity took me about 4 years because we played 2 years in New York, and then we went on the road with Chita Rivera, and then I left to do the movie. I left the road company to do the movie, and the movie was almost a year. So that was a very good experience. And it was a wonderful experience working with Bob Fosse because he would sit down at the piano with me while I was teaching the ensemble, or working with the ensemble, while I was working with the principals. And he would say things like, "Jack, that's not real. How can we make that realer? It's phony. How can we cut the phoniness?" And that went back to my early workings with this man years ago who had worked with Victor Herbert, of trying to get people to treat singing honestly. I remember him saying, not Bob Fosse, but this conductor would say, "You're the only person that you have. Why are you hiding it? Why are you hiding who you are? Singing is sustained speech. If you sing, 'Hi, how are you?' it's going to come out chewed and tight, and it's not going to have the path that 'Hi, how are you' does when you talk. If you sustain 'Hi, how are you,' you at least get a sound." And Bob Fosse would fool with me. I remember going over Big Spender so many different ways to get those women to listen to each other and to sing as one person and still keep their own identities. And that was really fascinating to me. I left the movie of Sweet Charity and did a bunch of flops on Broadway. One of them was Fig Leaves Are Falling by Albert Haig and Alan Sherman, and a show called Billy that was a musical version of Billy Budd, written by a young man oh, I don't know what's happened to today. His name was Ron Dante. The score was quite wonderful. And again, the book was absolutely dreadful. And then after that, I did a national company of George M. with Joel Grey and a national company of Applause with Lauren Bacall, and came back into New York to, I stayed in Los Angeles with Applause and then went right into a major revival. A funny thing happened in the Way of the Forum that Stephen Sondheim was putting together for the Amundsen Theater and that new theater company that they were starting there. And the producer of that new theater company was the producer of Sweet Charity. It was wonderful working with Sondheim. I loved that a lot. He scared me to death when I first met him, but then I realized what a shy, simple person he was. And again, just like Bob Fosse, he would sit on the piano bench with me while I was teaching, and I really loved that. And I found him very easy to work with. I know we had Ophelia, the leading lady, who had difficulty in her middle register, and most Ophelia is middle register.